What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Friday Live with Lauren. Or if this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much for joining us. This is the show where every Friday I bring on some of my favorite influencers, sales leaders, marketers, you name it, anybody who can help you learn. We're going to laugh and we're going to level up. Today, I have a very, very special guest. I am so excited. Miss Meryoli is with me today. What's up, babe? How are you?
Hi, happy to be here with your audience.
Oh, we are so excited to have you. All right. So, you guys know the drill. If you are tuning in, we don't know you're here if you don't tell us. So, drop in the comments, where are you tuning in from? Meryoli is going to tell you where she's from in just a second. But comment below, where are you tuning in from today? Obviously, we want you to share the show. Share it. Let your friends know we're live right now. LinkedIn doesn't always do the best job, let's be honest. And while we are live, please ask your questions in the chat. We will do our best to answer anything that's appropriate as long as you ask it in the chat. So, with that, let me switch you over. Marioli, tell us about you.
Hey, well, I'm tuning in from Venezuela, actually, my home city, Maracaibo. I had been living in Chile for 6 or 7 years, and I decided to move back this year. So I'm very happy here for now. The perks of remote work, I guess. I work as a senior community and social media manager at Apollo. I'm basically part of the marketing team, which is now 20 plus people who are very happy and growing very fast. Very exciting times around here.
Yes, growing. We're going to talk about that later in the show. But if you guys aren't following Apollo, what are you doing? I drop my little partner link all the time. Go follow Apollo. They have some amazing things going on. Let's see who's joining us. We have so many people in the comments. What's up, Alexa? Alexa's here. Miss Melissa is here. Paul's in the house. Paul, we are grateful that you tuned in today. We got Giano. Giano was on the show last week with his dog, Frank. What's up, Giano and Frank? Another benefit of that remote work. Get to have your little doggy with you all the time. What's up, Erica? Erica's in California at work right now. We'll tell your boss you're going to learn something. So this is an hour where it's worth it. Paul's in South Florida with me. Nathan is in Chip and Joe's backyard, Waco, Texas. Okay, Chip and Joe Gaines. Okay, I know who that is now. I didn't know for a minute. Melissa, hey guys. Hey, Kristen. My mom's tuning in. What's up, mom? Hi, mom. Katie Penner's in the house from Houston. Markston from Boca. Chris Jarvis from Nashville. Katie Penner, why did we think you lived in Austin? Katie doesn't live in Austin. Oh, look, you are a blessing to Apollo. I love this, Andres. Thank you for the beautiful comment. Happy Friday, Liz. And hello, Eliana. I hope I said that correct. And greetings from Siesta Key Beach. Not jealous at all that I'm in this podcast room and you are at the beach. But with that, thank you all for tuning in. We have 6 topics today. Six topics. So let's get right into them. The first one I'm super excited to talk about is social media more than just content. Now, some people are going to see this topic and they're going to be like, "Lauren, what do you mean?" And I brought on the perfect person to explain to you what we mean when we say social media is more than just content.
Yeah, that's right. I think social media is actually a combination of things. So content is just a small part of it, but it has like a whole ecosystem of things that need to happen in order for that content to be effective. But it's all about relationships, and I would say that's the front and center. It's like about networking and relationship and building community, and that goes beyond posting just like whatever you have to say about X or Y topic. So yes, for me, social media is also more than just content. It's about connections. It's about relationships. It's about many other things. It's actually that's why it's called social. It's about being social in there. It's about like finding those connections that can only be done, between humans.
100%. It's definitely not just posting and ghosting, right? We all know that that doesn't work. You have to actively engage, you have to form conversations and real relationships. If you are showing up as a taker and you are showing up with a "what's in it for me" attitude, you're not gonna go very far in terms of social really helping benefit you. And also, I know you wrote a post recently about this and it also being more than just content. It is also the algorithm too. You do have to pay attention to the algorithm because at the end of the day, we're not posting on Lauren's social media site where I control where it goes, right? Can you talk to us a little
Exactly.
bit about that and how people do have to kind of pay attention to the algorithm?
Yes, I feel like every platform has a different way of acting. You know, they have their own goals. They pursue their own goals, and you, as someone who's like having a presence in that social media network, you probably need to learn a little bit about this so you can serve the audience on that platform, the content that the platform wants to push. That's the thing that you gotta pay attention to the things. I think you referred to a post that where I wrote that many times too many people say like, no, it's not the algorithm, it's your content. And yes, of course, it's important to have like very valuable content, but sometimes there are situations happening in the platforms that don't allow that content to be pushed because I've had the situation where I posted something and it didn't perform, and maybe I tried the next day and it did perform. So it wasn't the content. That's what I mean by that. It's more than that. So there are a lot of factors happening there that sometimes when people go to the simple approach of, oh, it's just your content sucks, they don't take into account, and I think they should be taken into account.
I love excuse me, I love that. And really what's going on, what I'm seeing in terms of social media being more than just content is that people are constantly saying repurpose your post, repurpose what you have going on, right? Yes, you can repurpose to an extent, but I did something this week because I knew we were going to talk about this and I wanted to prove a point. I went back and I looked at all my content from the past year and I took one of my posts, one of my top performing posts, and I changed it just a little tiny bit, right? I tweaked it, but I put that same post back out there. And this is a post that got 657 reactions and I mean it was one of my really heavy hitting posts last year, and I posted it, and I think I got like 57 reactions, maybe a comment or 2. But it wasn't the right moment. When I originally posted that a year ago, there was a lot of layoffs that morning. There was a lot of emotion in that post. There were a lot of things that went along with my content that day. And it was more than just the content. It was the relationships that I'd built and the feelings and the emotion of the people who had been following me for all of that time. That's why that post went viral then. That's why that post did so well. It was more than the content. And that's what I want to
Yeah.
prove to you guys right now by saying all of that.
Yeah, that actually it's very funny that you mentioned that because I was talking to someone who works at LinkedIn the other day, and I was talking about this. Like it was last year, it was so easy to go viral if you had the right message at the right moment. Like if everyone was talking about X topic, it would be super easy to like get a lot of reactions on your post, even if you had like a very small account. It's not happening now because the algorithm at LinkedIn changed and now they're prioritizing other things like how to's, like people giving tips and actually like advising people on X topic. So that's what they were prioritizing at the moment, like the virality, getting like more eyes on your content, and now they are prioritizing something else. And it takes us back to the initial premise of this talk that we're having. Like it was like it's more than the content. It's also the momentum. It's also a certain amount of factors. The audience you've already built. Remember that LinkedIn will show your post to those who follow you first, and then you will be taking, farther and farther because they like, and then, people who follow them will see that they liked, and, that's how it goes. But if you are talking directly to your audience and you're giving value, I think that that's the core, that's a key part of this conversation, giving value. And of course, taking into account the momentum and the conversations that are around the social network at the moment is very important too.
I love that you just said that because Paul points this out. He says, a big thing, Meryoli, is the quality of network. I have some top voices in my network who have a mass following, but they get awful engagement. My guess is most of the network isn't active. That's why I connect intentionally. Yes, Paul, connecting intentionally matters. The other thing I want to bring up really quick is every 90 days, I purge. I go through and purge through my connections and the people I follow and the notifications I have set. So sorry if I'm not showing up on your posts, like DM me and ask, but I might have done that on purpose. But I intentionally purge. I want to see new people. It's not that I don't want to support you all, it's that I want to see new things in my feed. That's how I grew last year. So specifically, if you're not doing that, I recommend you take some time. If you are growing on LinkedIn and you've been growing for a while, take some time and purge some of those people. I'm sorry, I don't need the people I was connected to 10 years ago. I just probably don't. I'd like to stay following you and whatever, but I don't need you as a first connection where that content is showing up first anymore. All right. Alexa says timing is super important. Good call. Thank you. Yes, it is. That's why I use events to create my own reach. Paul, talk to us in the comments a little bit what you mean. What kind of events are you creating and what kind of reach are you seeing? I'm excited to hear about that. I purge too. April Little does often. Yes, April Little is one of the people who told me that when I first started growing. Shout out April Little. If any of you aren't following her, follow her. Howdy, Miss Brandy Bomb. The bomb is in the house. Get some bomb bars from Brandy. Yes, you have to purge, Erica, and cultivate with intention. All right. We have a lot of topics. That was just one. We're going to move on to the next one. So, we talked a little bit about how much Apollo was growing, and I want to talk about social media for candidates. So, really quick, y'all, don't be afraid to build your brand just because you're applying for a job. Okay. Be smart about what you're talking about online. Know that hiring managers are looking at what you're posting. If you're negative in the comments, they can see that. If you're woe is me, they probably don't want you on the team. Be positive, be uplifting, teach people something. But I also want to bring you up and ask, what have you guys seen in all of the candidates who've been applying at Apollo? How are they using social media to maybe stand out?
I don't want to take this only to like Apollo because I feel like this is something that's happening across most industries, I will say. Like we are taking more into account what a candidate or a professional is saying about, their job and their work life. So I would say that yes, social media is a huge asset if you're looking for a new job, particularly obviously LinkedIn can be huge. And obviously it's not only about what you are saying in there, but also the connections, again, the connections you are creating, because nowadays it's more important to have like a referral or someone that can say that, hey, companies are more inclined to hire people that their employees are referring, because this goes on the assumption that if an employee is a very good employee and a very good professional, they probably are friends with people who are alike, and that's the reason why companies prefer or probably give some priority to referrals. So it's very important that if you're looking for a job or you have a dream job or a company that you really like, you go and connect with people who already work at the company, who already have the job you want, and you can go and learn from them and have a nice probably like presence on social media is also important. Like if you start creating content about your profession and how passionate you are about that, that probably will put you in front of the like the top candidates at whatever position you're applying to.
I love that. So don't be afraid to use social media, I think is one of the biggest takeaways, right? And two, when you're posting on social media, make sure one of the things you said was connect with the people who are already doing the job, right? When you're posting, think about what these people are needing to learn in their position. What are they maybe missing? What could help them? Tips that would make them gravitate towards your content. And then also, don't just go connect with the hiring manager in HR. The tip she gave of connecting with the people doing the job is gold. That's what I tell people all the time. They can tell you who the right hiring manager is. They have the email address internally. They can send your resume for you. It's happening in the DMs for somebody I know right now. I made an introduction today. And yes, is she going to go apply the normal way? Yes. But the person also offered to pass her resume along to the direct hiring manager. Here, email me. And it all came from an introduction off of LinkedIn. And she's a passive, quiet candidate looking for her next role. And boom, now she's not going to have to go through maybe the 6 months of what I deal with some of job seekers who come to me for strategy sessions because they didn't take the time to use social media at all.
Yes. I think it can be a great ally on any job search nowadays.
100%. Paul says, for me, it's mainly audio events. Okay, Paul does audio events. He is a massive networking tool. It's accelerated his sales process 2 to 3 times quicker when you show value. As Melissa says, it's fun and great for business. Alexa says, "Woe is me" is the biggest turnoff. Yes, don't be the person who's all sad all over social media all the time, unless you want to talk about how you overcame a "woe is me" mindset. Yes, we love storytelling. Show us you can tell a good story, and how it ended. Paul says, I imagine you can convert on live. I just don't use my live show for that. It's a legacy project for me. Oh, I love that you have your live show as a legacy project. I never thought about that, Paul. Melissa says audio events have been incredible for my reach, whether hosting or joining, engage with intelligent people, network with intention in rooms where the conversations happen, especially if based in your industry. Yes, find more events on LinkedIn that are going on that relate to you. There's some amazing sales events that I know I join. Ooh, connecting with HR. Yeah, HR doesn't like to connect, do they, Alexa? Do they, Alexa? I don't know. Nathan, it's going down in the DMs. Yes, the magic happens in the DMs. I try once a week to sit down intentionally for 30 minutes and just send positive, uplifting voice notes to people in my network because you're taking the time to show up every day. And how often does somebody say, I see you? And it's hard to show up consistently on LinkedIn. So when I notice that people are here all the time and showing up all the time, I try really hard to take the time and go into those DMs and make some magic. Paul, in terms of reach, grows 4 to 5 times. However, I do my LinkedIn way. Not one to conform. Do you think you have to conform to the norm for social media? How Paul says?
I don't think so. I think it's very important that you keep your own personality and also that you try different things. I think that when we go through our feeds and we keep seeing the same type of post, blah 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 blah, and then we find something different, we're more inclined to stop. And that's like the scroll stopper, you know? So yeah, definitely try anything outside, think outside the box. I know this is like probably one of the most hated jargon in in business, but yeah, thinking outside the box means to go and try other things too. So no, I'm not one to conform me there, so I keep trying like new things in however I'm doing in social media for the companies I work for or for my own social media.
I love this. I do not conform. I will post on social media 2 videos back to back 6 times in a row, whatever I want, whatever I'm feeling like in the moment. It's my social media, y'all. Hi, Aunt Billy. Thanks for tuning in. Alexa says trying to connect with company recruiters is such a time drain. Use your time wisely. Yes, Alexa. If you are on the job market, one of the biggest things you need to do is time block your time and use your time correctly. Have a great follow up list because it also happens in the follow up game. That's how you will get an interview is following up. So use your time wisely. No conforming to the norm. I think we all agree on that here. Franklin says TikTok is great to connect with other brands, and the comment section are gold mine to drive conversation live. I do not spend enough time on TikTok. I need to. Every time I do, I fall down like the rabbit hole, and then like 6 hours later my phone's dying and I haven't eaten or gone to the bathroom, and yeah, so I don't get
I
on.
actually think this is a great tip, and one tip I'm gonna give you is to go and follow Franklin on TikTok because he's doing a great job there.
There you go.
I think there's something happening on TikTok with B2B, and it's like we all like B2B companies are trying to grow there, particularly because it's not an easy platform for B2B. You know, it tends to be more formal, blah blah blah, and it's just different. So because our following is probably smaller, you're more you're more likely to be seen by a company on TikTok than you are on LinkedIn, for example. So this is actually a great tip if I can say that.
I love that. I went to it wasn't TikTok, but I went to Instagram into the DMs. I was trying to get James say what sales Buckley. I was trying to get his attention. And on LinkedIn, he's super popular. And on Instagram, he had just posted and I was like, "Oh, you don't have his followers here. Let me DM you here because you'll probably be more reactive." And right away he was. So definitely that's a tip. Go to a different platform. You can. Standing out is the way to go. Doing that will be different for everyone. Yes, Melissa, that is true. Okay, Melissa has a question for you. What is your favorite opening for a cold message?
On LinkedIn, I can't think of a time I received a video, and it was like something very different for me to receive. I always receive like this typical like, oh, I saw you in the X post, and that's why I sent you a request. But I got a actually it was like he's an influencer on LinkedIn, Jared, and he sent me a very nice video and introducing himself and telling me about what he does, blah blah blah. And I remember that to this day. This was like 2 years ago, so it was a really nice cold message on LinkedIn.
I love that. That's how I got started on LinkedIn. Cold videos in the DMs to everyone. Shout out Bomb Bomb. If you think about it, Lauren, live video and books will outlive us. Yes, they will. Paul, you are absolutely correct. It is because the hottest platform right now, most people don't have their ideal clients there though. Paul, I think your ideal clients are on TikTok. They're just harder to find because they're not labeled as how they are labeled on other platforms. So you have to do more work, in my opinion. You agree with that?
I totally agree with that. People keep saying this that your ideal clients are not on TikTok. So my question is always like, who is then? Because there are billions of people in there. And the thing is that you need to do the work on how to, create community there and being attractive enough for people to go and follow you. But, the tone on the platforms is different on each one. You don't go into TikTok thinking like, oh, I really want to read from this CEO telling me, giving me an exact framework on how to do this. Probably something different that you're looking for when you go into TikTok. Probably more entertaining, more educational, but like super fast content. It's just different. It's a different approach. But yeah, I would say that I do not agree. And I've seen this in the past. Like I used to run TikTok on my previous org too, and the things we were seeing is that we even got like first engagements from TikTok, and some of the close ones said like, "Oh, the first time I heard about you was on TikTok." So yes, I would say your ICP is definitely hanging out on TikTok too.
They're just harder to find. Go get them, Paul. You got this. Paul says, I use TikTok to practice short form video and store content. Yes, that's a good thing to do. Okay, Melissa has another question. How many people inbox you with something that is amazing each week? How many of messages you get would you classify as amazing? If
Ooh, this is sad because in my case, it's a very small percentage. I get a lot of like cold pitching and a lot of people trying to sell things, and I can't say that this week I got a message that I remembered today.
That's really sad, y'all. Somebody go send her a message. She needs one. All right. Nathan says video is the way. Nathan, why don't you send her a video? Let's go. Challenge. I'm challenging you right now. She hasn't got a good video. Alexa says your ICP is hanging out on TikTok, but they aren't being all businessy there. You have to find them. Yes, exactly my point. Use all social media to funnel back to the platform you close on. Yes, Melissa, I do agree with that, but I do think you can close on multiple platforms. So, this has been kind of a mind shift for me lately, but yeah, Melissa, I don't know. You and I talk offline about this. Paul, I don't know what you mean by zero. Oh, 0 messages, 0 amazing messages. Okay, I got it. Jody's here. Jody says, I like the idea of practicing with TikTok. Still hate video of myself though. Can't I use my eloquent vocabulary instead? I mean, Jody, you can write beautifully. You know that, but get on video. It's not as scary as you think, I promise. All right, y'all. Next, we're going to jump into the power of community. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about on LinkedIn. I don't know about you, but what has the power
Yeah,
of community done for you?
everything I would say. I would say that well, I start with the community I know the most is probably building communities on social media, which is what I'm passionate about. But also, like working for a community team has taught me so much about, um, creating the spaces for people to hang out and talk about topics that are relevant to you and your brand. If you're a company and you give, for example, you give your best customers a space to hang out and talk and give value to each other, that's just so powerful. And the same with social media. You create the conversations, you go on and start a topic, and you have then your potential buyers having their own points of view, and then your customers interacting. That's the best part of community. Like, well, I think the word is very self-explanatory. Like, community is a place where we all find common interests and we try to, like connect with each other. I definitely believe in the power of community. I think this is the way today, the way that business is being done nowadays, and also is a huge source of growth for companies, and I would say in every across every industry, and that's why too many companies, or many companies, are investing on this.
Yes, you see these community manager roles popping all over the place, and it's not somebody who's managing an apartment complex, y'all. It is literally their online community. One of the things I love to do, I've built quite a community on LinkedIn. All of you, thank you. But one of the things I love to do, and y'all, I know half of you hate me, half of you love it, whatever. I like to post polls that really get my community thinking and debating. So I don't try to post something that's just this generic whatever. I'm going to ask you a question about if you had an interview and these were the times you could pick to interview with this person, what time would you pick and why? So that people can debate and learn from each other in the comments. There's multiple times that I've tried to post something that will make you think, and that if you could actually contribute and give your reasoning and your thought process, the power of this community will teach you so much if you're willing to learn. That's the other thing I want to say. You have to be willing to learn as much as you're willing to teach. You have to be willing to learn. Don't be the person in the room who knows everything. Go find a new room. But the
Yeah,
power of community really will, and in my sense, it's taught me so much. When I first got on LinkedIn, I was a brand new SaaS recruiter, and I didn't even know what SaaS stood for, and I was sending cold videos, like you said, to leaders, and I was like, "Hi, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how I'm gonna add value to your life, but I promise you to find a way. I need to learn, please. I need to learn from the best so I can talk to the best because I wanna recruit the best." And I sent some vulnerable videos, and I was myself, and I was real and authentic, and I said, "I will show up for you, and I will support you, and tell me what you need." And now I have some of the most amazing community, in my opinion, on all of LinkedIn. So love you guys.
I
Um,
agree. That's awesome. The way you look at it, I love it, because you are not only like, too many people who are influencers on the space, they think of their social media as the place for them to have a monologue and say like, hey, this is what I think about this topic, and not like creating a discussion. And that's so powerful, because a community is only as stronger as its members, and that's something to keep
100%.
in mind. It's not the leader, it's not the person steering the conversations, it's the ones that are part of the community, and just giving them food for thought, and giving them something that's gonna make them go like, even if it's like 3 hours later, they go like, huh, this is interesting. That's what you want to do.
I love it. Okay, Paul has a question. He says, "I'm curious, what are some strategies or insight you'd share to find ideal clients on TikTok?"
Niche down. That's the answer to this. You gotta talk about those conversations that are important for your ICP. Definitely. Like, if you want to find ideal clients, go and talk about the topics that are important for them. Find the right hashtags too, and make sure you are interacting with them too. Not only creating video, and this is a mistake that many of us make, because I've made this mistake in the past too. Go and comment and create community there.
Yes, comment and create community. For me, it's harder to comment and create community on like TikTok and Instagram and all of that because it feels natural on LinkedIn. That's what I always started with was engage first. But when I started posting on TikTok and Instagram, it was like, oh, if I post, I did good today. But no, y'all, you have to engage there too. That is still part of it on every platform. Melissa says, community helped me find ways to expand my network. Then I work to engage the network to create real friendships off platform and offline. I love that. All right. What other tips do you have for keeping your community members engaged and interested? Polls, surveys, giveaways, etc.
All of it. Try everything. We talked about this. Yeah, go and try anything that's creative and that could be interesting for them. If it is polls, surveys, giveaways, just think about the conversations you want to have and the type of actions you want them to perform, probably. And remember the 80-20% rule, where you give 80%, and when you have to ask something, make sure that's only part of the 20%. It's not you just asking and asking and asking, never giving something in return, because I feel like many community leaders think about it as a place to ask for things instead of giving things, and that's what community is really about.
100%. Don't show up with what's in it for you. Always give first. Giano, I missed the first half of the call because of a meeting, but I have so many questions for you. We are happy you are here for the second half of the show. All right. Do we have anything else to say about the power immunity? Are we
I
good?
think go and enjoy it, the power of community. Find your tribe and, engage and be part of it because it's very powerful.
Yes, go engage. It is really, really powerful, y'all. And like we said, there's magic in the DMs. Build your community and show up with purpose. I think is the last thing I want to say about that is show up with purpose. All right, we are going to show the halfway video. We will be back in exactly 30 seconds. All right, we're back. We're back. It's the second half of the show. If you are here, share the show. Do me a favor, let other people know we are still live for another 30 minutes, y'all. We already talked about social media being more than just content. We talked about social media for candidates. We have talked about the power of community. We have 3 more awesome topics. Please, please don't forget, you can always ask your questions in the chat. And let me bring back my special guest. Hello, hello.
I'm here.
There you are. All right. Katie says, "We love you too." We love you, Katie. All right. Gianno has a question for you before we get into stuff. He said, "Did you talk about content scheduling calendar yet?" We did not. I would love to learn about strategy because that's what I'm working on for Nooks. I am going to, not me, you. I'm going to let you take this one away. What do you have to say to Gianno about scheduling and calendar?
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to scheduled content, I'm not big on it. I'm not a big believer. I do actually think that some of these scheduling tools can diminish your reach. So I'm not a big believer. I'm an organic kind of poster. When it comes to the calendar, I definitely think this can be a great ally, but it depends on where you're talking about, which network you're talking about. But if it's LinkedIn, I would probably try to plan ahead. And in my case, the way I see social media, particularly in the place I am in, is that I collaborate with different departments in my company. Actually, I might disappoint some people here, but I'm not a big believer of like agency work because I've done agency work before. Like I've worked for an agency. And I do believe that you need to take, time to go and understand what's happening in your company to be able to reflect that. I always say this is my main goal in social media, reflect whatever is happening in my company. So in order to do this, I go and collaborate. I go and talk to the different teams in the company to understand what they're up to, so I can reflect that in our social media. So yeah, when it comes to the calendar, a lot of it is for me. It's basically me trying to understand what other teams are doing. I'm making that part of my, what I'm gonna post next. I try to plan ahead, like 2 weeks in advance, but sometimes you get a great idea for a post and I just like go like, oh, but maybe this post can go next week. And yeah, so I would say have a plan, but make sure that you have those spaces to be a little spontaneous and to do things differently too.
I love that. Okay, he said how far out? I think you said about 2 weeks, right? That's about how far out
Yes.
you're planning, about 2 weeks, but leave room for spontaneity, people. Be spontaneous in your post. You never know what's gonna hit you. I always joke, I'm like, LinkedIn's my therapy. Whatever I'm feeling today is coming out. All right, a lot of suggestions. Joke of the day, intentional post with a surprise inside, a crazy insert, and a serious post. Unrelated things, post a picture of your things, just things to keep people looking at your post. Those are all good things. I don't know if people would post a picture of your shoes right now. We had some interesting shoes comments on LinkedIn before. Hello, send out. Thank you for joining us. All right, we are going to get into the second half of the show. We have 3 more topics. We did talk about the power of community, but I want to talk specifically about networking. In terms of networking, I know we get a lot of people who are watching who maybe have been on LinkedIn, but haven't actively grown their network or thought about where do I start in growing my network? Everybody says you need a network. Listen, y'all, my tagline is I can't, my network can, because that's a big part of who I am is I will reach out to anyone in my network and try to get you assistance or help. That's why I built it. But if somebody's starting to grow their network, what kind of advice are you giving them right now?
I think the biggest thing is to understand what your goal on the platform is. That's the first thing that I would look at. Like if your goal is to connect with if you're trying to find a new job, probably you want to connect with people who are doing the job you want, who work at the company you want to work at, or maybe some recruiters. Someone said not don't connect with recruiters, but I actually disagree a little bit. It's helped me in the past. I would say that that's the first thing, to take a look at the goals. And after you have that, then be very intentional on your connections. Like not only like sending just a request, but like interacting with this person, trying to make it like personal, trying to actually networking is a relationship. So have a relationship with those you want in your network. And that I would say that's the biggest tip on that when it comes to networking. Um, if I can give more advice, like use video. It's helped me in the past too, and it's impressed me. Yeah, it's been very personal, and like for me, being kind has gone a long way. Like that's what's worked for me. Like going, into someone's DM and be like, "Hey, I really like what you said here, blah blah," or something on the lines of being very kind. Just that's an additional tip. But I would say that be very mindful of your goal and do the networking part with intention.
Yes. And networking is not pitch slapping. Let's be very straightforward, y'all. Networking is not pitch slapping the person you are trying to network with. Even if you had one nice interaction with them, the next interaction is not a pitch slap. That is not networking. That is not networking. Please don't do that and say you learned how to do that on Friday Live, because that is not what we are saying. Don't pitch. Let people want to ask you how you can provide value. Show them how you can provide value. You don't need to pitch if your product is that good, if your service is that good. If you're doing the damn thing and I can see you every day doing the damn thing and you've formed a relationship with me, I'm going to come to you to see if you can either do the damn thing for me or teach me to do the thing myself. So you don't need to pitch, y'all. Build the network and build the relationship first, is some of my advice there. Paul
A
says, okay,
hundred
Paul
percent.
agrees agree with you. He says, I love connecting with recruiters. They generally have massive networks. It's been helpful for all those green banners I see on my feed. Mark says, still the worst is a pitch slap when you think you're going to make a good connection. Yes, Mark. The other thing that's the worst for me is when a VP of sales connects with me and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get to recruit for you. And I'm ready to like reach. And then they're like, hi, Lauren, can you help me find a new job? It's the
Oh,
worst. It's the worst, Mark. If I have any founders or leaders watching, you have no idea how many of your sales leaders are in my inbox trying to get out. Go tell your people you appreciate them and be nice. Damn. It's really sad, if we're being honest. Mark says, Paul, I agree with you. I think it's important. Yes, having a good network and a good network of recruiters, I do think is important. I just think that you have to be smart about the type of recruiter you are connecting with. If you are applying for an internal job, go find an internal recruiter to reach out to. Don't reach out to an agency recruiter. They're probably not going to talk to you. Let's be honest. Agency recruiting is sales, it is hunting, it is going out and finding the person. They might talk to you, they might help you a little bit, but they're probably not going to be able to place you in that specific role. 9 times out of 10, it just doesn't happen. Sorry to burst your bubble, but the realness is here. Um, okay, moving on from networking, we're going to jump into remote work. So, we talked a little bit about where you're at right now, but tell me how remote work has really just not just benefited, but changed your life.
yeah. I mean, I've been a remote worker pretty much since I started working because I feel like digital marketing was the first thing, and then social media. It was like we can do this remotely for a long time, even before the pandemic. So it's been part of my professional life ever since the get go. I only worked at an office once, and it was because I was like, oh, I want to be an adult and I want to work in an office, and I hated it. So remote work is basically how I feel comfortable working, how I'm the most productive, because I was never productive working in an office. Um, and it's basically, in my case, I'm South American. It's given me so many opportunities that I wouldn't have in where I've been living. I wouldn't have the type of opportunities that I've had if I were only working for companies locally. You would have to move or live in other cities, but remote work has allowed me to live whatever I want and do what I love. So it's huge. um when it comes to, like, this is a very, well, it's not new, but I guess the majority of people who are doing remote work now, they found out about this during the pandemic the hard way. But I think we're seeing the benefits of it, and I'm just sad every time I see a company like sending people back to the office. But I know it's not for everyone. And yeah, for me, it's worked. If it doesn't work for you, there are other things that you can do. Besides finding a job in an office, there's like WeWorks and co-working spaces, and there are many things. And honestly, remote work is not only, people think of remote work as being a nomad, and it's not only that. Like, I'm not traveling anywhere. I'm working from my home, and I love doing just that. Like, it's given me time back, like, to spend with my family. I can have a lunch hour and spend it with my family members in the house, and basically giving me the flexibility to do things I want to do while also being very productive and doing a job I love.
I love that. And yes, listen, I said forever once I started working remote that I would never go back to an office. And then one day I realized that being at home and working as much as I work, because let's be real, I have an obsession with my job. I work for myself. Sorry, not sorry. You have to when you work for yourself. And there was no line of I was leaving the work, and the work would follow me into the bedroom, and the work would follow me to the couch, and I would be cooking dinner, and I'd have my laptop there so that while the water was boiling, I could be on my lap. So for me, I had to get out, but like you said, I found a great co-working space, which is where I film my show. It's where I rent an office now. And I've actually met some great people through this office and being here, which has built my in-person network. Y'all, I know we didn't really talk about it in networking, but in-person networking is coming back as well. Please go to events, do something, especially if you are a remote worker. Getting out and being involved with other people who are in your industry will help you feel connected. It will help you feel like you have place and purpose. I know sometimes, especially when you work remote, if you don't get enough of that interaction, it can be lonely. Like, let's just be honest. We're not going to say that it's not ever lonely. One of the things that hit me last year was like, damn, I'm kind of lonely. But like you said, when I go into an office, I'm a social butterfly. I talk a lot. I can't really just be in that office and be super productive because I talk a lot. But being alone, I was like, okay, I don't know if I really like this either. And having this space and it not being somewhere where people are expected to talk to me, but they can if they want, like, it's just been a really nice balance. So I challenge you to find the balance that works for you. Never say never, but find the balance that works for you. Um, the other thing I want to mention really quick, and tell me your opinion on this, but remote work is remote work. It means you can work remotely from anywhere. It doesn't mean I have to live in a certain area or a time zone or whatever. As long as I wake up and get the work done on your time, I can work where I want to work.
Yes.
Do you ever see this happening with people you know lately, like getting new jobs and then all of a sudden, like, that remote job isn't remote?
Yes, it happened to my sister actually. She started a remote job like 4 months ago, and last month they were like, "Oh, we're back to the office," and she was like, "Oh, I'm quitting." It's
Literally.
happening more and more. Yes, that's what happened. And yeah, I just feel like remote work is probably synonymous with freedom, the freedom to choose how you want to get your work done. If it is like, for social beings, like you said, you are like, probably you want to go to a co-working space, in-person events, and you get like, this is the difference between introverts and extroverts. Like, introverts thrive with, people, social situations, and introverts, we might be a little different. We might prefer other type of interactions, and it's just like you said about finding what works for you, and trying to be the most productive.
Paul has a question for you. He's curious, what's your favorite part of living in Venezuela, and will you be coming to the US at some point?
I visit a lot the US actually. I have a lot of friends there, work friends, life friends in general. I tend to go a lot to South Florida.
Oh, you
I
better
love
come
living
see
in my.
me. You better come see
I
me next
will
time
next
you're in
time
Florida.
for
Paul's in South
sure.
Florida too. Paul's in South Florida too. We're all in like the Boca Del Rey area.
Oh, that's cool. We should meet. Yeah, about living in Venezuela. Of course, this is my home country. Well, it's not a secret for many people. Let's not get that here. Like we have economic and social problems that have been happening for the last 15 years or so, or even more. So I had to go and live in Chile for a while, and then coming back here is like falling in love again with an old boyfriend kind of thing. It's like, oh, I'm back to my city. Many of my friends don't live here anymore, but like it's discovering the places I grew up in. My family lives here, so it's just for me it's been beautiful to be back. So my favorite part of living here is probably my family, and because I was like an immigrant in other country, it's just great to be back to what I know and the places I grew up in and I love the familiarity, the culture, that's my favorite part.
It's so amazing. I bet when it's so familiar, it's just so nice. Oh, Max. Max is here at the one co-work with me. I love being here, Max. Thank you for having me here. Alexa, I'm super excited to see you in person at SASTR. If you're watching and you're going to SASTR in person, let me know. We're going to do Friday Live in person at SASTR. You better come on. Alexa, you better come on the show. Paul says, I love going to events and retreats at least twice a year. And he says, that's awesome. Great story. Okay, y'all, we have like 13 minutes left in the show. We're moving on to our last topic. We are keeping good time. See, we're okay. She was like, I might talk too much. You have to stop me. We're fine. No worries. All right. We're going to talk right now about mental health in the workplace. This is such an important topic. I know last week I posted about mental health in the workplace, but Meryoli, I'm going to let you take it away. Talk to us about mental health in the workplace.
I feel, particularly after the pandemic, this is such a great topic to discuss because it got harder and harder. Like, work is a place well, it's not a place anymore, actually. It's a time in your day where you spend a lot of time doing work and at work. And it's very important to know that it's not like you leave the person you are when you walk into work mode. So it's very important that if mental health is a situation that is something that's affecting you, it's probably gonna come with you to work. So work is such a big part of our life, is what I mean by this, that we can ignore that other part of us. And when it comes to working for a company, it can be a source of distress or it can be a source of joy. And if you have the spaces in the company to talk about the important topics like mental health, like the struggles you're going through, because we all are going through something, that can be very valuable, and that can be life changing. Actually, you go from like being sad and moody and not liking what you're doing to being in a place where you feel supported and you feel like you can be yourself, and that's very important. We can talk for days about this, but it's like especially for minorities, this can be a huge asset, like a space to talk about the difficulties you might be going through. And it's just like when it comes to be a champion of mental health in your workplace, it's just about being supportive of other people and trying to understand what they're going through.
100% empathy. Lead with empathy always. You have no idea what the people next to you are going through. They could have a perfect face and be smiling and great and be literally dying inside. So please, 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 like, lead with empathy. That whole leave it at the door mentality. You don't have to leave it at the door. Okay. You're supposed to be able to talk about it. You're supposed to be able to say things are hard. And the reason that we have this whole stigma around mental health is that for so long we were taught that we couldn't talk about it. So by actually talking about it and being brave and vulnerable to speak about what you're going through and share it with people in your workplace, and you can pick who you're comfortable and confident enough to share these things with, correct? But for me, sometimes it's a peer that maybe I feel like they understand what I'm going through. We're in similar situations in life. But it's okay to have these conversations. And sometimes by you leading the conversation, you'll allow people to give details that maybe they wouldn't have been comfortable sharing. They needed to share in that moment, but they haven't been able to get it out. So when you're thinking about mental health in the workplace, that's one of my big things is that you never know what the person next to you is going through, especially if you're in an in-person office. Be mindful of that. And especially for those of us who are remote too, right? Let's be real. It's hard to judge on a computer screen. I can put on a fake smile for an hour-long show and act like everything is fine, and then afterwards be like, "Okay, nope, my life's falling apart again." You have no idea. So check in on your people too. I think that's one of the things. How do you think leaders could do better job at checking in with their employees around mental health?
I think one of the big things that managers and leaders can do is probably having very honest conversations around these topics, like asking your employees how are you, and it's not like I expect you to answer fine and that's it. Like, how are you really? Like the best managers really care about that person they're managing. It's not only like numbers and productivity; they are people, and that's very important. And when the topic of mental health in the workplace comes, I always say like it's very important to talk about it with people you're comfortable with, because you realize that you're not the only one going through those things. And that's very powerful, because the thing with mental health is like you tend to feel isolated, and you tend to feel like you are the only one going through X or Y. And sometimes you find that too many people, sadly, are going through the same things. And it can be fixed by having conversations, open and honest. And if you have unlimited PTO, take it. If you have a mental day, take it. Less than, I think I read a statistic the other day, and it was like less than 20% of people feel comfortable asking for a mental health day. And that's awful. Because, like we said, we are all going through something. So if you have, you know, PTO, if you have unlimited PTO, take it. That is productive, and that's gonna be good. Sometimes I read something the other day, like sometimes humans can be like routers or Wi-Fi. You need to disconnect a little bit to go back stronger. And I think that's a great, it's stuck with me.
Yeah, no, I love that. Mark says, each week my manager and I have a one on one. We talk not about work for at least 10 or 15 minutes. We talk about personal items, hobbies, and other items that we both relate to. This is important. Yes, Mark, I'm sure you feel seen in these moments. You are more than an employee, and the things that are going on in your life matters. He says his company has worked from home supportive. Our offices have been downsized for local areas that they support. That's awesome. Jody, busy day. Have a great weekend. Thank you for the insights. Thanks for tuning in, Jody. Liz says, don't tell me not to take work personally. It is personal. I spend most of my waking hours dedicated to it. Yes, Liz,
Hmm.
you spend most of your waking hours dedicated towards it. I know because I had to pull you away for the networking event. By the way, I hope your launch went really, really well. She had a launch this week. So hope that went well for you. She says managers can say they care, but do they show it? Don't say you don't expect your team to work ridiculous hours, but then give them unrealistic deadlines and overwhelming amounts of work. You can't have it both ways. Actions speak louder than words.
100%. Like feeling supported, and like your manager has your back, and you are part of a team, and not like, oh, I'm the boss, you're doing the things. That's very important. And when managers are proactive on how can I help you, and if you ask them for help, they actually do it. That's very powerful and very engaging too. I feel like I have a different sense of loyalty, and probably I feel more motivated to be my best self if I have someone who has my back.
I love that. And that's what it is. It's being motivated to be your best self and to be your best self in every moment. I'm a big believer of we don't all have 100% in our tank every day. We don't. Mentally, we just can't. Some days it's 80%, some days it's 60, some days it's 40, let's be honest. But if you can have a leader that you can be straightforward with and transparent with and say, "Listen, like Today was a rough one for me, but tomorrow we're going to knock it out of the park. If you can have that kind of relationship and be supported in those moments, you're not going to be entertaining calls from recruiters. You're not going to be doom scrolling jobs on the toilet at lunch. You're not going to be asking everybody quietly in your network if they can help you get a new job, because your mental health is going to be supported in what you have going on. Yeah, Liz says today you're at 20%. Me too, Liz. Today I'm at 20%. I feel you there. But she
It was
says
a long week.
launch for field and channel sales and our partners was successful. Congratulations, Liz, on a successful launch. That's incredible. But listen, y'all, if you're at 20% today, I feel you. I see you. I'm at 20%. It's okay to be at 20%. Tomorrow, maybe you'll be at 80. Tomorrow, maybe you'll be at 100. But even if tomorrow you're at 40, you're still going to show up and you've survived all of your bad days so far. You've got this. Okay. We only have a few more minutes. Obviously, please, y'all, go follow Miss Meryoli and Apollo. And then we have one last thing. If you watch the show, you know what's coming. All right. Give us your fun Friday fact of the day.
I don't know if it's fun, but I learned it yesterday. It's like a
Okay.
shrimp's heart is in its head. I was like about to eat sushi, and this was not the best moment to find out about this, but I was like, oh, I ate this shrimp's heart. But
Well,
yeah,
his brain is normally in his head. You don't care about eating the brain, just the heart?
I didn't think shrimps had brains.
Do shrimps have brains? Somebody comment and let us know. But if you did not know before, the shrimp's heart is in his head. And if that bothers you, think twice before you eat sushi. I'm actually hungry for sushi now. I did not eat today. So thank you for I don't care that his heart is in his head. I'll eat the shrimp. So thank you for the recommendation. Y'all, this was a fun show. I really appreciate you coming on with me today. If you are tuning in, next week is a big week. Y'all, we got Friday Live in person at SASTR coming up in September. If you are going to be at SASTR and you want to come on the live show, send me, well, my DMs are a mess. Send me an email. My email is on my profile. Send me an email and we will set up some time. Right now, I think we have like 7 people rotating in. But if you are coming and you want to rotate on, I'd love to have you on the show live. It's going to be a fun time. And hold on, Brandy says, love the support I get from Headset Advisor. We support each other. We're having hard days and find ways to make each other laugh. Yes, having a supportive team, just like Brandy has. Go find one of those. And if you need help, let me know. I got some job search strategy sessions. I'll help you out. All right. Liz says, happy weekend, friends. Happy weekend. Giano, huge fan of what you have done at Apollo. You have some huge fans. I know I am a huge fan.
Thank you.
Well, all right, y'all. This was fun. We will see you next week. Unless you didn't enjoy it, then don't come back. Bye, y'all.
Thank you, Laura.